And good evening to everybody. This is the second part, or second Saturday, I guess I should say, that I've been going on live at around 9 Central Time. I had a few little technical issues this evening, but I wanted to come on and talk some more about what we did last week, and that is just looking at being prepared for Sunday morning assembling with Christians and why it's so important. But before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click on the subscribe bar right there. And then when the notification bell pops up, click on it, and you'll be notified anytime I add content to the channel. And by all means, comment on these videos if you like it. Give it a thumbs up. Share these videos. Okay, let's get on with it. As you can see, as I said, I'm having some technical issues. Sunday's coming. Are you prepared? Now, last week we looked at the importance of being prepared. That was the first in the series, and we talked about how, sure, God is meant to get our praise, our adoration, our thanksgiving, and that sort of thing. We also looked at how the worshiper in the pew is meant to get something out of it, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about what it is that or rather, how the worshiper can prepare to get something out of it, because you can't completely blame the preacher if you walk out the door and think, well, that was an hour of my life, or 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, that I'm never going to get back. And you can't always blame the preacher or the worship coordinator or the song leader or whoever, because you didn't have what you consider to be a meaningful worship experience. So let's look at a couple of passages. We looked at these last week. Colossians 3 and verse 16. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. Now notice, we are to let the word dwell. We try that again. The word of Christ is to dwell in us richly in all wisdom, and we are to teach and admonish one another in psalms, hymns, spiritual songs. Teach and admonish. So you are supposed to get something out of it, some kind of a teaching, some kind of an admonishment. Or as Paul told Timothy, I charge you therefore before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who will judge the living and the dead at his appearing and at his kingdom, to preach the word. Be ready in season and out of season. Timothy, even if it's not a convenient topic to talk about, not a convenient time, you need to preach the word. And then he says to convince, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering and teaching. So those things need to happen. Those things need to happen to the person who is sitting in the pew. In the same sermon that convinces me of say that I'm maybe in sin or something might rebuke the guy next to me. But someone else might be exhorted by the same sermon, encouraged to continue doing something or to not do something, and to do it with all patience or long-suffering, and to do it with teaching. So here's what I want to look at for the audience member. When you get up in the morning and you're ready to go to church, come prepared. Come prepared to learn. Come prepared with the right mindset. Plan your weekend activities so that worship takes the front seat, so that worship is at the center of it. In other words, don't just look at your weekend activity or Saturday night and think, okay, so tomorrow, Sunday, let's see. I don't have to go to work. I can't get a tee time on the golf course. It's not football season. I guess might as well go to church. By the way, if you hear any noise in the background, somebody's setting off fireworks. I don't know if it's because of Father's Day weekend or what, but there's some fireworks going on in the neighborhood. So anyway, so be prepared. Put your worship and your church activities at center stage on the weekends. Don't use it as a fallback just if I have nothing else to do. So how do I prepare? Well, number one, make sure you're home early on a Saturday night. Now, early is up to you. If you're one of these people that can get by with 2 or 3 hours of sleep and be able to function, hey, that's fine. Most of us probably need to get a little more sleep than that. Now, it's about a little bit past 9 Central Time, about 10 o'clock on the East Coast. And then going west, it's earlier and earlier. And this is why I've been thinking maybe I'll try to do these earlier on a Saturday or maybe even on a Friday. But you have got to remember, you can't stay up half the night playing games, watching TV, fishing, hunting, playing golf, doing whatever you do, and then come home, sleep just a couple of hours, and then jump out of bed and grab a cup of coffee and then go flying into the church building. You can't have the idea that, oh, well, I'll just skip Sunday school and go for church. I'll just sleep in and we'll make it for Sunday night church. I mean, that's assuming your congregation still has Sunday night services. A lot of churches have discontinued that, some before COVID, and since COVID came along, I don't know too many that have it. But make sure you allow enough time for sleep so you can wake up ready to go, just like you would do if tomorrow if it was a school day or a work day. I don't know too many people who on a work night will stay out late until midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then get an hour of sleep and then jump up and go running into the office. They generally sleep a little bit more. I've never known anyone who approached their jobs with the attitude that so many people approach church or approach God. I've never known parents who would habitually let their children stay out late on school nights and not prepare for their classes. But I know a lot that don't ever try to help their kids prepare for Sunday school, or they'll let them go out on the town and be with their friends until all odd hours of the night. See, this drawing I have here, it actually comes from a booklet called This Was Your Life by Jack Chick. And I like the way he draws God sitting here. A spirit figure. Notice the radiance around him. Let me see if I can get a highlighter here where I can point it out. I'm going to try and do this. I don't think I've ever done this, but notice right around here, you can see that he is a very radiant figure. This is actually a scene that Jack Chick drew depicting his idea of the judgment. Here's people down here standing in front of God. But I just want you to notice the radiance here, the reverence, the awe of standing in front of God. Do you think that you are Sunday morning going into the presence of the creator of the universe? You're not there to listen to the preacher yammer. You're there to be and to worship the creator of the universe, Almighty God. So why do we treat our Sunday meeting with the creator of the universe like it's so unimportant? Like it's a meeting with some casual friend that we can just blow off and say, oh, I'll get back to you and we'll reschedule, and then never do it. Understand who we are meeting and what the purpose is. A second thing to do for you to prepare is take time to study your Sunday school lesson. How many times I've taught school, I've been in Sunday school classes where I'm the student, and yes, I've let it slip under the radar, and not really been as prepared as I could have been. But how many times you come into class and you're ready, the teacher's ready, hopefully. I did know years ago a church elder, I was working temporarily with this church on a summer intern, and Sunday morning he brings his yellow pad and his Gospel Advocate commentary on Romans to the breakfast table, and he's just basically copying a lot of the stuff from the commentary into his yellow legal pad. So take the time to study it. Read. Most Sunday school lessons are only going to be 4 or 5 pages. You can read them in about 20 minutes. Keep a pen or yellow highlighter. I thought I had one here, but I don't. And just draw lines, highlight it, make notes. Be prepared, just like you would do if you were back in school and it was your history class. Be prepared. And then second, select and prepare your clothes. This is a big one. We know church time, but yet we just get up and what do I have here that's clean? Oh, I don't know. And we just throw on whatever. Now, I'm not saying you have to wear a suit and a tie. If that's what you like to do, great, go for it. If you're a little more casual, that's fine. But don't stand there taking 20 minutes in front of your closet. When you got to leave the house at 9 o'clock for a 9:30 class, you should have it all picked out and ready to go. If it needs ironing, have it ironed. Make sure the ladies have their skirts, their shoes shined, and take a look and be presentable. If your office allows business casual, that's fine, but you always make sure your clothes are clean and they're presentable. I've seen some people who come into church, they obviously just threw on whatever they had because they slept too late. Goes back to point number 1. Make sure that you have that you slept. Make sure that you are prepared, and then get up with enough time to prepare yourself and the children so you don't have to rush. Now, I pretty much get up between 4 and 5 o'clock every morning. I'm up. I'm ready to go usually before anybody else in the house gets up. I mean, I've looked over my sermon, I've taken my walk, I've showered, I'm dressed, I'm ready. And as a parent, when we were in group homes, I always made sure I was usually the first one up. I made sure I was ready to go walk out the door before anybody else got up. And so we weren't just running around with kids trying to get them, get the girls in their dresses, the boys with their ties, or whatever we had to do at the children's home. And the same thing, we've only got one child, but we make sure she's ready to go. So that I'd rather be ready to go and sit and have to read the newspaper or watch TV, or I could even read my Bible. I could do something like that. I'd rather do that and have 5 or 10 minutes to spare than be 20 minutes behind trying to run out the door. And then, which leads me to the final point, and that is arrive at the meeting place on time, even a few minutes early. I've sat in Sunday school classes and I could look around and I could tell you who was going to come in through the door, and sometimes I could tell you when. I was going to a denominational church in high school. I knew most of the people there from school, the preacher's kids. I went to school with them. And there was one particular family then. I think we started at 9:45 in the morning, if memory serves correctly. We'd meet in the auditorium, sing a few songs, and then we would head to our classes. There was one family that never came in until about 5 or 10 minutes into the class period. So we started at 9:45 in the auditorium. By about 10, we were dismissed. So about 10 after 10, they would come crashing in, and they weren't particularly quiet about it. They knew what time we met, and that was pretty rude for the rest of the students that were in the classroom. So these are the tips for those of you who are sitting in the pews to have a meaningful worship experience. That's what you have to do, because it's not all the preacher, it's not all the Sunday school teacher, it's not all the song leaders and that kind of thing. You've got to do your part. I certainly will do everything as the preacher from my side of the fence to make your worship experience where you meaningful, where you will learn something, or at the very least be informed. Now, next week, I'm going to talk about me, not so much me. But I'm going to talk about the worship experience from the point of view of the preacher and the people who are leading in it. And do we have a certain role to play? Are there certain things we can do to help people be prepared? Well, the answer to that is yes. And that's what we're going to talk about next week when we get together. It'll be roughly 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And remember, as always, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell so you can be notified when I add content to the channel. Comment in the comment section below if you would like. If you have a request for a topic of a sermon or something we can talk about Saturday nights, send it to me at 2timothy4.2.3@gmail.com. And I'll see what I can do about getting a sermon or a 5-minute devotional or something about it. That's going to do it for this evening. Leave your comments below. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm out.